All right, bookworms and constant readers, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to talk about Stephen King's Revival. I say this in every video because we always have new subscribers. I think we're up to 50 now. Just this week we've had, I think, 2 new subscribers. So if you're new, welcome to the channel. This is Final Girl Horror. My name's Chelsea. And like I say in every video, when it comes to Stephen King, for all the new viewers, in case you don't know, I had originally planned on starting with Carrie and going through the entire Stephen King collection in publication order. And it didn't turn out that way because a lot of you early on in the channel found me on Goodreads. It's not hard. The link is on the main page, and contacted me that way and wanted Stephen King on the channel. So I started, I don't remember what the first book was, but it was over halfway through his catalog is when I started. I'm going to say it was maybe Blaze was the first. I'd have to go back and look. But it was over halfway through when I started putting books in publication order. If you go and you watch the Stephen King playlist, before you comment about, oh, you skipped this book, you skipped that book, I'm going in publication order, sort of. And what I mean by that is like, so I've skipped Dr. Sleep now twice. The reason for that is because when it comes to series like The Dark Tower or sequels or trilogies, I read those together and put them on the channel and then go back and pick up books that I skipped. So the first time I skipped Dr. Sleep was, I believe, because of the Mr. Mercedes Bill Hodges trilogy. I skipped it for a few reasons, because I did that trilogy and I haven't put The Shining on the channel yet. So when we get to the end of the catalog with right now it's If You Like It Darker, or You Like It Darker, I think is the name of his new one, we will go back to Carrie, and when I get to The Shining I'll pick up Dr. Sleep. So until then I'm skipping it. Today's book is another one that we skipped for the Mr. Mercedes Bill Hodges trilogy, and it's Revival. Also, the next Stephen King book will be another one that was skipped because of that trilogy. So I go back, I pick those books up, and then we carry on. So now that you know how I do the Stephen King collection, let's get into today's book. So as always, I bring out my first edition hardcover if I have it. This one I actually do have because it's a fairly new book. This was published in, I don't remember, let me see. This was published in 2014. So this book is 10 years old. And this is another Stephen King book that I haven't read. I don't know if I put it in my video on how I became a constant reader, but my entire life I have constantly been reading Stephen King. I'll get to his latest book and then I'll start over from Carrie and read in publication order. I've done that like my entire life since I was like 7 or 8 years old when I first read Cujo. I started doing that. I love Stephen King. He's my favorite author. But when I started school, schoolwork became so hectic that I got really far behind in reading, and I would buy his new book when it came out. I just never read it. So all of the Stephen King books from like here on out, I've never read before. They're all new to me, even though this one's 10 years old. So this is the original first edition hardcover. It's got this cool foil cover with the lightning. I actually like the next cover better. This one I would give like maybe 3.5, 4 out of 5. I actually like the paperback better. I think it has more to do with the story. It's a lot creepier cover also, and then his picture on the back. This one I would definitely 4.5 out of 5. I like this cover much better. Alright, so what is this about? Well, if you read the back, it says, a new minister came to Harlow, Maine, when Jamie Morton was a boy doing battle with his toy army men on the front lawn. The young Reverend Charles Jacobs and his beautiful wife brought new life to the local church and captivated their congregation. But with Jamie, he shares a secret obsession, a draw so powerful it would have profound consequences 5 decades after the shattering tragedy that turned the preacher against God, and long after his final scathing sermon. Now Jamie, a nomadic rock guitarist hooked on heroin, meets Charles Jacobs again, and when their bond becomes a pact beyond even the devil's devising, Jamie discovers that revival has many meanings. That is a really good synopsis of this book. This book revolves around this guy Jamie. We meet Jamie when he's like 6 years old, and his first real adult friend is this Reverend Jacobs. And the book basically follows Jamie's entire life, and the events that happen as a child actually come back around later in the story, and the real debt or threat to Jamie is what happens between him and the Reverend later in life. And it's kind of a you owe me for what I did for you type thing, like blackmail type stuff. But it's deeper and darker than that. And you learn that this Reverend, ex-Reverend, because he's only maybe a quarter of the book a Reverend, and then there's this event that happens that he totally turns his back on God. He does later in the book use religion to get rich. But if you're thinking that this is very preachy and religious, it's totally not. This is a very dark story. It's more like a Richard Bachman book than a Stephen King book. This also reminds me a lot of old Stephen King, like classic Stephen King. And it is totally enthralling page turner. You want to know what's going to happen next. The whole time you're trying to figure out what is this Reverend Jacobs up to. You start to wonder, did I miss something? Does he have something else on Jamie that we don't know about that we're going to find out about? And in a sense he does that, but it's not it's not like he has something on Jamie. It's like he holds something that Jamie once cared about over Jamie's head, and basically like forces Jamie to help him do his final bidding. The ending is very like creepy. It's very shocking. It's a tragic ending. It's another one of those endings where you kind of laugh at people when they say that Stephen King doesn't know how to write an ending. I always think of, and I think I've mentioned it in other videos. I seen in an interview where he told the interviewer asked him about that, like, why do people criticize your endings so much? And his answer was somewhere along the lines of, because they don't get the ending that they want, and that's not what I'm about. I'll give you the ending that you deserve, not the ending that you want. I always thought that was kind of cool, because in the end, like, this is a horror novel, and you kind of expect things to end badly. I mean, where do you think the final girl came from? I mean, yeah, one person survived, but everybody else died. I mean, how morbid, is that? That's not really a good ending. But a lot of people complain about his endings. I don't agree with that. I think his endings are great. There's only been maybe like one or two books where I didn't like the ending. One that comes to mind is Cell. I didn't like the ending of Cell. I think it could have been like one more chapter or maybe two more chapters and kind of wrapped things up better. But this ending, it's a great ending. It has a really cool ending, really morbid ending. You don't see this ending coming. I would totally recommend this. This is a solid 5 out of 5. Like I said, this is classic Stephen King at his finest. You don't hear a lot about this book. This is another one of his books, like Duma Key, that people just don't talk about. This is a really great read, a great Stephen King book. I liked everything about it from beginning to end. No complaints. The cast of characters is really small. It really only revolves around Jamie and people in his life, and they're not really like main characters in the story. They're just kind of there for a while and then gone. Even Jamie's family plays a small role in this story. They're not like main characters. The really two main characters are the Reverend and Jamie. And Jamie is the one telling the story. It is from his point of view. And it's just really good, creepy storytelling. This totally reminds me of like Salem's Lot, Pet Sematary. It has those like creepy vibes to it. Really good. Check it out. Highly recommend it. Stephen King's Revival. That's all I've got for you. Till next time, read more books.